Welcome to another weekly featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello, and welcome to another Friday Featured Business brought to you by your host, myself, James Moffat, and in partnership with Visibility Impact. Today we have our 117th guest, believe it or not. Right, Linda Martinez. Right, with Martinez, actually, it sounds Latin American kind of name, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. It's my husband's surname. It's not my birth name.
Oh, well, of course. Say no more. We'll come to that shortly. Right. So anyway, Linda, you are 117th guest, so welcome to the show.
So happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the platform.
An absolute pleasure. So we have met before at our book club meeting.
Exactly.
And for authors that are in with the same publisher. So that's how we know each other. So I know a little bit about you, but the audience don't. So this is your opportunity to take us on a journey from your childhood to where you are now, sharing any memorable experiences, anything that you want to touch upon. And I'm going to guide that because I've sent out you a questionnaire, which you filled in, which is really for my purposes to help avoid things or to focus on things or to remind you of things that are important that you want to talk about. Now, actually, with the questionnaire, it's quite sentimental in the way that I don't expose this to anyone. It's kind of private between you and me. But reading them, it's quite emotional for me. So if I start crying through this and showing emotion, then just carry on without me. Okay. Right. So without further ado, I mean, we normally have a weekly singer. So if she turns up, we'll just have a pause and then she can jump into a song and then disappear again. She doesn't always make it because she's busy with other activities. But if she can, I've just sent her a message. If she can, then we'll just pause. She'll jump in and then take it from there. Unless are you a singer, Linda?
I sing in the shower, yes.
Yeah.
but not in public.
Right.
Are
you play any instruments?
No, unfortunately not. I never have. My husband does, though. He's very musical, but it's not my kind of art.
What does he play out of curiosity?
He's a drummer and he plays everything with strings like guitars, and I gave him a ukulele once and he practiced a little bit. So, and the flutes and stuff like that.
No, I tell you, I love the ukulele.
Yeah, me too.
He doesn't want to like pop in and give us a song or a tune on the ukulele.
Unfortunately, we're not at home. We're at my parents' place, so there are no instruments here. If we were in Switzerland, I would invite him. But we have a djembe at home as well, which he loves to play. But not here. So sorry. Next time.
All right, no worries.
You have to invite him.
I'll invite him as a guest, or at least maybe to. Does he sing as well, or just play instruments?
No, he's just playing the instruments. I think he's under the shower, if even.
Maybe he can accompany Emily.
Maybe, yes.
Okay. Anyway, we digress. So let's get going then. So as I said, for the audience, if people want to watch the recording, then that's made available. It goes onto my YouTube channel, and you can share the link. Obviously, subscribe, and then you'll get notification on any other guest and their recording. You don't have to be on the show every week, but if you're following anyone in particular or interested, you can always catch up on their recording, which I'm sure people will do here. So we'll share this as well in the book group.
Exactly. That's great. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been catching up yet with many episodes because I'm kind of busy as well, always. But I love this platform, and I think there are some people that I really wanted to see in the future too.
Yeah. So as I said, I know a bit about you, and what I know, I love. So let's hear your story. So let's get going. So Linda, let's know where you are. Where are you living now, and where you're originally from?
Yeah, I live in Switzerland, in Thun. That's quite close to you, actually. But I am from Germany. I'm from a small town in Germany. The name is Plettenberg. Nobody knows it except some people. And yeah, I left my home 13 years ago. I'm living in Switzerland 13 years now, which is incredible. I left at 25. Um, and yeah, at that time I thought I'm late to the party, to emigrate. And today I think it's incredible that I just, dropped everything at 25 years old and just went to another country. It's quite insane, yeah. And I love Switzerland. I love living there. It's a really nice place.
Well, you live in a beautiful place. I mean, Thun is actually funny, because when I mentioned Thun, I used to live in the northeast of England in a place called Newcastle, right? And I had a Geordie accent. So if they said Thun, it would mean town. So if I said I'm living in Thun, or I'm going out the Thun, which I'm going into town.
Yeah.
Thun. So when I first heard the name Thun, I'm thinking, it's a place called Town.
Right.
But anyway, it is a beautiful place on a lake. And the lake makes it even more magical. And I've been on boat trips up and down that lake many times.
Yeah, definitely worth it. I love the lake. I remember the first time I came to the city. I got a job offer at that time, and I just booked a train ticket, went there. It was December, it was snowy, and I went through the town in the morning to go to my job, and it just struck me. I was like, oh my God, I want to live here. And 3 months later, I moved, and I love the lake. We can see the Alps from our apartment. We have 10 minutes to the lake. It's a magical and really nice place. Yeah. So everybody who doesn't know it, you have to come.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, we were looking to move there as well, but found it was quite expensive. And so if you're going towards Interlaken, are you on the left side or the right side of the lake?
The right side.
So near going towards Spitz.
Exactly. Yeah, we're close to Gvad, if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are in between like city center Strandbad and then Gvad, behind the train tracks. It's not like right beside the lake, but we can just, by bike, it's literally 5 minutes.
Yeah. So you go diving in the lake?
I don't do it anymore, but I have been actually. Yes.
Really?
Not scuba diving, with a snorkel actually and the wetsuit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I did.
So anyway, let's get moving. So going back to your childhood, so pretty much we'll start there and then bring you up to what you're doing now, why you're doing what you're doing now, and where are you on that journey now. So, but let's start at the beginning. So growing up as a kid, you have siblings as well?
I do. I have 4 actually.
Right. And so boys and girls?
Yeah, I have 2 half brothers, a sister and a half stepsister. So
right.
A colorful mix we are.
Exactly. So growing up as a kid, what types of things did you enjoy?
I remember as a kid, because as I've mentioned, I grew up in a small town, right? So there was really not a lot. There was not a lot of traffic, not a lot of people. I grew up a bit on the side of the town. And there was just woods and meadows and a stream that went through. And also it happened to be like the place where the public pool was located. It was right across the street. And I have very, very happy memories about that time, because I just love to be outdoors. I could go outdoors. It was pretty safe, right? Like my mom could just let me go through the terrace door, and I was just out in nature all the time. I don't know, playing in the woods, like carrying frogs over the street and all of that jazz, observing fish in the little ponds. And yeah, whatever. It was kind of picturesque childhood in regards to that. And I loved swimming. I can swim and dive as far back as I can remember. I can't remember that I cannot swim or dive. It's like that long. I'm just a water person. I was a water kid. My grandparents from my father's side, they had a permanent spot at a camping site at the Baltic Sea. So I kind of grew up there as well. I do have my roots there as well because my family is from Hamburg and from the north, from the parental side. And it was just great, beaches, ocean, nature, all of that's just my childhood. I loved it so much.
Tropical weather.
Yeah, that's what I love today. But the Baltic Sea is not that tropical.
No. But when you said about swimming, I mean, you did water sports as well, lots of water sports.
No water sport in general, just swimming, diving. I still do some snorkeling today. I really enjoy snorkeling, for example, in the Caribbean today, right? It's amazing. I can be in the water for hours, but I never did like, surfing or whatever. It just doesn't interest me as much, but okay. Snorkeling, swimming, it's...
Did you do scuba diving?
Yeah, I probably could, but I don't have like so much interest in it. I just love snorkeling.
Yeah, I mean,
the freedom and the connection with the element. I don't know. I just love it.
No, I was introduced to kind of scuba diving, and then afterwards you could do your PADI if you wanted to get the certificate. Now, I didn't, although I did scuba diving, and the first one we went kind of 3 miles out on a boat, and then we all had the tanks and everything. We buddied up with a partner, and the guide took us down with a rope, and it was I don't know, 10 meters below the boat.
Yeah.
But that was my first time, and yeah, it was a magical experience, but quite scary actually, like going backwards, or you could either go backwards off the boat or step in, right? And then you'd go down, you had to breathe and everything else. So, but absolutely magical. But another time we went off from the beach, we just walked in. So that was more like snorkeling.
Yeah.
And I found that was just as magical because I felt safe in a way that I could walk back out again. Yeah. But what you saw just below the surface was amazing as well.
It is, right? Sometimes it's just a few.
Yeah, exactly. Just below the surface, and it's a different world.
Yeah, it's so different. I love it. I love it's so good. Yeah, we've been last year in the Caribbean again, and it was so good. Yeah, the fish and the corals. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move forward. So you still do camping and stuff?
No, today we don't actively do it. No, I wouldn't say. A few years back, I still did with my friends in Switzerland. In the first years when I moved there, we still did that. We went out in the summer, and we didn't even had like tents or anything. We just slept under, just with our sleeping bags and mattresses by the lake or at the river with fire and music and everything. But I haven't been doing that in a while now, actually.
Right. And horses and animals.
Yeah, that's a big part of my life. Horse riding, I've always been connected to horses in one way or another. As a kid, I loved...
That's the best way. When you get disconnected, you can hurt yourself.
Is that so?
Well, I did horse riding as well, and I came up many times, and it hurts, right? So it's best to be connected.
Yeah, definitely. I broke my arm as well, horse riding, so it's I know how it can hurt. But I was on the horse again with my broken arm. My parents went crazy when they found out. They were like, you can't do that. But I think as a kid, you just don't care. You just want to do what's fun, right? And yeah, I grew up at home with a cat. And as I said, I always felt very connected to nature. And it's quite interesting because as a kid, I felt this connection to the animal kingdom. And when I was in water, actually, I always pretended to be a dolphin. I always imagined myself to be a dolphin. And later in my life, I stumbled upon animal communication. It was at a time in my life where I wanted to change my life, and I was looking to change my profession basically, and I wanted to do something with animals because I remembered my joy I had. So I went into this animal communication seminar thinking I'm learning something about animal behavior, but it was actually about telepathy.
Wow.
And first I thought, oh my God, where am I here? But it led to me learning animal communication, telepathy, for almost a year. So it all connects back, right? It's so interesting. Yeah, and it was kind of a kickoff for a big transformation in my life.
Okay, so can I call you the horse whisperer?
I think I developed more into a human whisperer.
But do you find it was there a connection between like communicating like that with animals, and is it the same principles with humans?
Definitely, it was a door opener. I didn't know at the time, but I think it was it was an important step for me to not develop those abilities, because I always had them. Every human has them, right? We just have to rediscover them and train them. So I think for me, the safest way to get back in touch with it was to actually learn animal communication and opening the doors, to those senses. And yeah, really later I just found out that it doesn't matter, because everything communicates at the same level, right? It's not that I can access like a human's mind or whatever and extract information that is not meant for me, right? But we all communicate all the time. And if you are, and you receive that information, whether you are aware of it or not, and your subconscious mind reacts to it, right? And it's just that. And I just learned that. Yeah.
So you found that you could communicate with animals after, I mean, when you were learning, you were practicing at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. It was just practice, basically. We were practicing with animals at the time, and it was mind-blowing.
I mean, I'm just curious, was the training, you went somewhere and it was in a classroom environment and they brought animals in, or how did it work?
No, the first seminar was in a classroom in Bern, actually. And yeah, the teacher was there, and she taught us some basic principles, but that was like the first moment when she started talking what it was about. I thought, oh my God, where am I here? And then she invited us, the participants, to do an experiment, a telepathic experiment with a partner from this group. And I didn't know anybody there. And I did it with my partner at the time. One was the sender and one was the receiver. And we sended each other like images. And it wasn't that we like saw or knew exactly what was there, but it was so close, right? That it just showed that the connection was established already. And then later in that course, the teacher connected with a cat of mine and told me lots of stuff about, how we were living, how that cat was living, and things she just couldn't possibly know. I met that woman, right? And then later, when I had the courses with her, we were, for example, in the zoo in Bern, Dalhölzli, and on her farm. And yeah, we were like, it was like very, very practical thing to do.
All right. So the teacher has a farm just outside of Bern then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't remember which village though, but yeah, it's outside of Bern.
I mean, you can go to the farm and see the animals and and stuff?
Yeah, you can actually, she has a website. You can look it up. She's still active. You can still book her courses. She does a lot. She has a whole school about it. And yeah, she's still active actually.
Right. Do you think then this was kind of a bit of a turning point as well when it comes to learning the behavior and understanding and communication with animals, that it could then be used for people?
Definitely. And I don't even know who mentioned that to me, but I do remember that I talked to somebody and I mentioned that animal communication was the door opener for me to, developing myself more and communicating better with humans, and today being a coach, And that person mentioned to me, well, I heard that before, She said, I heard that before. I heard people saying that. So it's not only me, apparently, but it's like other people have the same experience.
Yeah, no, please do share the link because I'd be interested. I mean, take my kids as well. I mean, it's quite funny when you say it's a door opener. I mean, we have a cat, right? It was a kitten when we got the cat. So we have one of these cat flaps that the cat can go in and out. So when you said a door opener, I'm thinking if I could tell the cat like how to open the door, it would make it easier rather than forcing the cat through and then trying to say like, this is the door you go in and out of.
Yeah,
so that would be kind of my door opener. Right?
Yeah. It's incredible
that
you say that, because the cat she communicated with at that time was about, oh, does your animal have a weird behavior? Let's figure out why it's doing that. And my cat was always opening doors. Like every door.
So you have animals now?
No, I don't own animals. I don't have my own animals in my house. I'm still a dog nanny though. I have nanny dogs that come to my place and stay with me, and then their owners pick them up again.
To talk to you?
No, I'm just taking care of them. I can read them. I know them. They are like friends, and they come and we just chill together. It's really a thing. Yeah.
I know we could digress and talk about talking to animals for a long time, because there was a very interesting documentaries done about these specially gifted people that can go and they can communicate with the animals. I mean, all animals. There was one I remember, there was this lion, and when it was in a kind of a protected, not zoo kind of thing, it was more of an open space, but the lion would kind of roar at everyone that went past. And then the woman was called in there because she can talk to animals. She sat there for hours and hours, and then in the end she could like communicate with the lion, and then the lion then told her why it was feeling like this. And then from that day forth, the lion was as calm, as placid as possible. But I mean, there are some magical stories, but I think tapping into this is great. But let's kind of move on. So animals were important in your life. So growing up then, let's just kind of learn a bit about your education and what you wanted to do when you left school.
It's not, it's not surprising that as a kid I wanted to be a veterinarian. That was my dream job. But as I grow older, I kind of, left that behind. And I remember, because another big part of my childhood and who I was as a kid was, like painting, writing, especially painting at that time. And, all the creative things. I think I was a very I was a very creative kid. Like, I loved drawing and everything. And
can I ask you, did you paint the wall behind you?
No, that's not from me. There are some paintings of me here in the.
I was joking, of course. Right?
You.
but you have
buy it.
Because you're at your mum's place. Do you have any paintings there?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe you could pop out and get one and show us.
Shall I? They are huge though, but I can. You want to
Or
wait?
you could ask your husband to go and get one.
Yeah, you know, I can go as well. They are pretty close. So you want to see one? I can show you one.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. Right, so I'll talk to myself.
Yeah, stay tuned for a second. I'm not going to be gone for long.
It doesn't matter because we can always edit any gaps in this out because this is the raw and live show. So when it comes to going on YouTube, this bit can be cut out while she's coming back. So I'll sing to entertain everyone. No, I won't. Right. Right. I'm curious to see.
Yeah, wait. I do have even more, but wait. I can't like get them all now. Like, let's see. That is one. It's quite a big one. Like the wait. Yeah. Like I think.
When did you do it?
Yeah, that is from this winter. This is like an abstract, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, all the pictures I have here are abstracts actually. Wait, this is a little bit.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was the birthday wish of my mom. It's for her birthday, and then I have this one.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of abstract type of.
Yeah, these
art.
are, and it's almost not visible on camera, but I am very proud of this one, if I can boast for a little bit, because it has such, like the details are incredible. And
so these are done on canvas and
the smaller one, the pink one, is on paper, and those are canvases.
Right. We had a guest, funny enough. Armin will know him as well. Oliver. He's from Zurich, and he's kind of an abstract painter as well. Yeah. He was again. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know. Say the name again.
Yeah, I forgot his surname. Oliver something or whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, if you look through the recordings, you'll see, and he shares his paintings as well.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
He sells them.
Yeah. Actually, if you want to see my paintings, all you have to do is to go to my Instagram. Like, go there, and I have a story highlight. You can go through my posts as well, but you can see my story highlight. It says artwork, and if you see like pretty much all of them from the last time.
Okay, but you don't sell them.
Not yet, but I'm in the process of setting up.
You're going to create a gallery.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, so yeah, feel free to share the links, and then we'll have a look.
The Instagram link.
Armin says his daughter is also an artist.
Oh, look at that.
Right. So what we should do is, I mean, there's a lot of artists actually. I mean, a lot have been guests. So
yeah,
we maybe we could do a whole show about artists, right? But anyway, let's kind of move forward. So at school, kind of what was your background with education and jobs when you left school?
Exactly. So what I was actually mentioning was that when I was in school, I wanted to go into interior design. That was my wish at that time. And then I left school. I left secondary school. I graduated. And I could have gone, further in my education, but I was so fed up of school that I really just wanted to go to work. And I opted in for an apprenticeship in dentistry. I became a dental assistant because I just didn't get anything else.
Let me see your teeth. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Right.
Were they like that before?
These two, they were a little bit crooked. These are actually veneers that one of my bosses did for me, but they are healthy. It was just the form of them, right?
Yeah. Can you do mine?
Sorry?
Can you do mine?
Well, they were a little bit. There was a little bit of composite on the front again.
Yeah.
Because they were sick or anything, just to make them, because the tips were a little bit broken from
Okay.
from biting or whatever, and it fell off. And my boss at the time, he was nagging at me all the time. He was like, "Come on, let me do them straight. Let me make them straight." And at the time, I was just like, "Okay, then let's do it." Right. Up until then, I was really, I didn't mind. It didn't bother me. But then he just offered. He was like, "I'm gonna do it." And I just said, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah.
And I don't regret it either. Right.
But you started that in Germany.
Yes, at 18 years old. I was 18. It was my 18th birthday, my first day of work.
And then you had quite a career in dentistry.
Yeah, 17 years. 17 years of dentistry. I went to become a prophylaxis assistant, like you have to finish your apprenticeship, you have to gain 2 years of experience, and then you can go to school again to become a prophylaxis assistant. That is like that is the one who cleans the teeth and educates the children and whatnot. And I became that, and I did that for a long time, and it was my door opener into Switzerland as well, because I found a job there because I had that education, and I did it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, a friend of mine is a dentist in Bern, and she comes from Chile.
Yeah.
And she had her own practice and everything in Chile, but she could not be a dentist in Switzerland without doing a European dentistry course.
Yeah,
so she had to do that. Then she had to have X amount, I think it's 3 or 4 years in a surgery or in a practice before she could start her own. So she was a dentist in her own right in Chile.
Yeah, but it's not what is the English word? Like, they don't accept these.
No, they don't.
They don't
Which is
accept
pity, because I go to her and she is the best dentist I've ever been to. Right?
Yeah, it's just
beyond a doubt.
Bureaucracy. It's just bureaucracy. It's really just that.
Yeah. But anyway, so you put many smiles on people's faces.
I did. Yeah. And that was actually the part that I loved about the job, That was like literally the part that I loved. I hated everything about it, honestly. Like, it was not for me. It really wasn't. But what I loved about it was to be with the people and to help them. Because as a prophylaxis assistant, I was with the people. They were my patients, right? I took them in the room. I talked to them. And this experience to be with the people in the room and listen to them and help them and actually coach them. I became a coach there already, because it's coaching, right? You are a health coach, basically. And man, I love that. And so many people came back to me and told me, you changed my life, right? I heard that more than once, and I loved it. It was amazing. I loved that about that job.
So what made you then come to Switzerland to practice it?
I don't know. Switzerland is like kind of, it's serendipity. I don't know. when I was an apprentice here in Germany, I remember my brother at the time, my oldest brother, he already emigrated to Ireland, and from Ireland to Switzerland. And I saw him, leaving the country and like being happy and all. And I just thought, I want that too, right? And I always told everybody when I was like 18, 19 years old, I said, like, I'm going to leave the country. I'm going to live in Spain. I'm going to live here. I'm going to live there. And they were always like, yeah, of course, nobody took it seriously. And I don't know, a few years later, my boyfriend at that time, he was working in Holland. He just came home for the weekends. It was like around the time of the crisis, right? The economical crisis, 2008, 9. And at that time, I applied for jobs in Holland because we wanted to go to Holland. And I don't even know how a Swiss practice came on that, like, I don't know. They just contacted me and they were like, we are looking for someone. Do you want to come to Switzerland? And my brother was living there at the time, and I just went.
So where was he in Switzerland?
In Zurich.
All right.
Yeah. Today he's living in Munich, but at that time he was living in Zurich. Yeah.
Right. Very good. And yeah, so you never did go to Holland?
No, I didn't.
Right.
I didn't.
Quite ironically, I went from London to Holland. I went to Utrecht and for 2 years, and then I went to Amsterdam.
It's so funny. And I actually had a job in Rotterdam. I had that job, and then like they were building a practice, and then the investor dropped out and they never opened it. It was crazy. And then I got the offer from Switzerland. I don't know. It just had to be like that, I guess.
But in Switzerland, where was it at the time?
In Thun. I came to Thun. I stayed there.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, a beautiful place to go to.
Yeah.
Right. So then, having done that,
Mm-hmm.
so how many years did you do that in Switzerland?
Actually, until I got pregnant with my son, which was 4 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And then everything changed. But with your husband now.
Yeah. Yeah. My son is from my husband. My husband and I, we know each other for 7 years now. And
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm curious about, because we did talk about your husband as well.
Yeah.
Right. And he's not from Switzerland. So people start to think, oh, he must be a Swiss guy. Right. So I'm curious now. So this boyfriend that you did originally go with, I mean, that was kind of history now. And then you stayed in Switzerland. And yeah, what was it like? Because I know you mentioned in the notes you went through kind of a period of feeling completely lost and didn't know which direction, didn't know whether to go back to Germany. So what happened at that time? So you came over, you're doing dentistry, you're living with your boyfriend at the time, that the one that you could have gone to Holland with that didn't work out. And so what happened?
Yeah, so it's exactly what you're saying, right? I came with that boyfriend. I had that job, and after 2 years or so of living in Switzerland, it was horrible because I didn't want to go to work anymore, and I didn't want to go home because it just so happened that my boss and my boyfriend were like kind of the same. They were like very abusive, and it was horrible actually, because I was so far from home. I didn't have a lot of friends because I was working a lot, and I was just constantly burned out. And I don't know, just it was just too much, right? I was pushing through all the time, but then I said enough. So first I left my job, then I left my boyfriend, and then I was just alone in Switzerland. And after I came to Switzerland, also my father died. So that was like a big thing on my heart, right? Where I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Life is horrible right now. And I never really got to grieve him going because my life was so stressful with that job and that boyfriend. So I left it all behind. I quit my job. I left my boyfriend. And that was like kind of a pivot, because I started to ask myself, why me? But not for the first time, not in a victim way, like, oh, why is this happening to me? I was actually wondering, why is that happening to me? Like, why? I got curious, right? I was like, what is going on? Because my life was so effed up, and I thought like, but I'm a good person, like something that it doesn't add up, right? Like, what is happening? And actually that moment where I started to really ask myself, why? What is happening here? A book literally fell from the shelf in the bookstore. And it was the first book I read about, like basically mindset, like how we create our reality with our thoughts, our actions. And it was from a German author, Veit Lindau. And he explained it in such a grounded and good way, no woo-woo, even though I don't have anything against woo-woo, but it was so grounded, so, I don't know, so touchable, right? And I was like, wow, for the first time I understood. And that was kicking off my journey of, self-awareness and really developing myself. And it ties back to, how I met my husband, because in all of that, cleaning up that I did, like my past, my mindset, like really determining what I want out of life, like who I am and whatnot. The first thing that I really longed for after, being single for like 2 or 3 years, the one thing I really longed for was like having a partner in my life. And
I'm going to hold you there, right?
Yeah.
I just need to fill in a couple of gaps, right?
Okay.
Right. So you keep me in suspense and the audience. So I want to know that bit, but I'm just curious. So you gave up something that you enjoyed, putting a smile on people's face for all of these years.
Yeah.
Right. You gave that up because I know what changed in the job that gave you that burnout feeling. And then secondly, was it something because it's something that you weren't happy with in your home life with your partner, that this kind of triggered that feeling that when you were at work, it just amplified it, maybe? I don't know. And then why did you decide to stay in Switzerland and not go back to Germany? And also what happened in between? Did you get another job before, or how?
Yeah, I did get another job. The good thing in Switzerland is that as long as you don't have a job and you have like worked a certain amount of time, you get like support from the government, which I got for like 6 months or whatever. And then I got a new job in dentistry with an equally horrible boss, actually. But I didn't care at that time that much, I just kept on going because I didn't see that boss. I never saw it when I was at work. And it was okay for me. That job was okay. It brought in money. I actually cut down the hours that I was working. And I was very much, I had more boundaries at work, So I just kept working. It just gave me money. And it also gave me the opportunity to just focus on the other things in my life, right? So
was it kind of the bad boss in the dentistry that kind of, what was the stimulant to like thinking that I'm not enjoying the job anymore?
No, that came actually then when I had that new job, right? That I started to realize I don't want to do this all my life. I remember I had a conversation with a coworker. He was a dentist. It was a big practice, right? Like with lots of dentists and lots of stuff. So I could get lost easily. That was good, because I was just one of many. I clocked in, I clocked out, and it was not like before, where I was the only one with all the responsibility and, And I had a conversation at that time with a coworker, and something clicked in that conversation, and I just was like, you know what, I don't think I want to do this all my life, even though this is the part I enjoy. I think I want to do something else. And I think it was after the seminar with animals that I told him I think I want to do something with animals, because for the next few years I was actually focusing on learning. I actually became an animal acupuncturist. I didn't mention that, but there was like a step in between that I took as well. Yeah, I did that. I went to school. I became an animal acupuncturist. I had veterinary basic studies for a year in Germany, and all of that. That happened. Yeah.
But you always decided that Thun is the place that you want to stay.
Yeah, you asked why I didn't go back to Germany. It's funny because I remember a friend at that time. She was asking me, she were like, oh, I'm so afraid you go back to Germany. And I was like, no, why? Like, I like it here. Why should I? It never occurred to me to go back to Germany, like really.
Okay, so let's kind of get back to where we were before. You
Mhm.
kept us on the edge of our seats now. So I'm curious now,
Yeah.
because I briefly met your husband, and I want to know how that happened, because you did mention in the notes that this is a great story to share, and I want to know the story now, and I'm sure the audience want to know. So
Yeah.
let's get to that point.
All right. So, yeah, as I've said, right, starting to meet myself better, it was at the same time that I was focusing on, my studies to become an animal acupuncturist. I did that next to my job. And at the same time, I focused on, I want a partner in my life. And there was a year of a lot of, mindset work. I think many of the people that are watching know what that is, right? I was working a lot on my personal development, on my mindset, on emotional wounding around relationships and whatever. And it is so funny and interesting because meeting my husband, it was a buildup of 1 year. I remember at that time, I just Googled something on the internet, like how to meet your dream partner or whatever. And I saw an assignment on the internet which said, like, write a vision, right? Like, write down a vision of what should this relationship like be, right? Like, focus on the feelings and what would he be and how would you be and all of the beingness of a relationship and your partner and you. So I did that. I wrote down that freaking vision and of my absolute dream partner. And I would have never thought at the time that that was actually possible. So for all of the year, I was like working on it. I met different like men and, I got my heart broken and I broke some hearts and whatever. It was a crazy year. I love it, actually. I love the memory of it. And I ended up going with a friend to Dublin for holidays. And my stepfather actually said before I went, he said to me, "Oh, maybe you're gonna meet your future partner there." And I was like, "Why would I meet my future partner in Dublin? I don't want to have a like long distance relationship. Like, why are you even saying that? I'm going there to have fun, Like for the first time, I don't want to focus on finding someone. I just want to have fun, just to be clear here." And he were like, yeah, okay.
So it was just you and a friend?
It was just me and a friend.
Two girls?
Two girls. We went to Dublin for 1 week.
Wow.
We we went on the second day of Christmas, like the 26th, and we stayed for 1 week, for New Year's Eve and all of that.
You went to the Guinness Museum?
No, we didn't.
No,
we went
the Whiskey Museum.
We were next to it. We were next to the Jameson distillery in the generator hostel.
You must have gone around Temple Bar.
A lot, yeah. Yeah, a lot. We've been a lot.
So you now know Irish folk songs?
I do, because what I didn't know at the time was that I will spend a lot of time here in Dublin.
I mean, it's a great place. I mean, I've got many friends there and I've been many times.
It's an amazing place. I loved it. And at the last night, the night before we were due to go back home, we were in the hostel lobby and, just chilling. And we actually wanted to go back to our room already when we met some Swiss guys. And we just kept on talking to them and having a lot of fun with them. And I don't know, it got very late into the night. And we kind of split up, and some wanted to go to Temple Bar and some wanted to go to another place. And I just got lost in between it all. And I might have been drinking a little bit already. So I completely lost my friends. And so I wanted to go to this other bar with the other friends, but I ended up in Temple Bar. Don't ask me how I did that. It's insane. It's crazy because it's the complete opposite direction. And then I was like, why am I here? That's crazy. And so I remembered that I had the phone number of one of those guys. I called him. I said, "Are you still in Temple Bar?" He said, "Yes." I met them. Then we were strolling through Temple Bar and we were passing a pub and I heard reggae coming from the pub. And I said to the guys, let's enter here. And they were like, no, the bouncer just sent one away. That like they don't let people in. And I was like, let me do that. And I went to the bouncer and I was like, are you playing reggae here? And he said, yes. And I said to the guys, come on, let's go in. And we went downstairs. And that's where I met my husband.
So he was in the band?
He wasn't in the band.
He wasn't playing the drums?
No, I was dancing. I was just dancing on the dance floor, and a guy approached me, like smiled at me, and I looked at him. And in that moment, like the DJ cut the music, and that guy said to me, "Oh,
I love you." He said hello, and then you said later, "You had me at hello."
No, he said, "Oh, they destroyed the moment because they cut the music."
Oh.
And I looked at him and I said, yeah, they did. And that guy became my husband.
So he's not Irish.
He's not Irish.
He's not Swiss.
He's not Swiss either.
But he is somewhere, in South America.
He's Colombian. Yeah.
So he was there on holiday or working there, or
he was living there. He was studying English, actually.
All right.
Yeah. And it's a crazy story. It's crazy.
You said sorry. You said they were playing reggae. So you like reggae music?
We love it.
Right. Were they playing a particular song? Do you remember the song?
I don't remember the song in particular, but I know that my husband and we have like our song, and it's "Is It Love" from Bob Marley.
Oh, nice. I was thinking, because I told you the story, I mean, about when I was singing this song all day and then I switched the radio on, and it, funny enough, it was the two songs I was singing all day came on back to back. Right?
Yeah.
So what's the chance of that? But anyway, the song that I was singing was Bob Marley. It was "Don't Worry About a Thing, because every little thing's going to be okay." Right. So anyway, I'm curious, because in the Temple Bar, it's not normally reggae. I mean, it's normally Irish folk music.
It's not. It's completely not. And it wasn't even in the pub itself. It was in the basement. It was in the basement of that pub. That they were playing reggae, and it was the favorite pub of my husband at the time. He loved it. It was called Sweeney's. It's not open anymore, and they were always playing reggae in the basement. And it is so funny because the whole time that I was in Dublin, he wasn't even there. He just came back from a holiday in Madrid, and it was the last night. I was about to go home. I got lost, completely lost. I went into a random bar where I just heard some reggae coming out, and then I met him there on the dance floor, where he told me, he said something drew him into this bar because his friends were in another bar, and he said, like, I don't want to stay here. I want to go to Sweeney's.
Right. So after chatting you up and dancing with you, then you felt this is the one.
Yeah, it's I went home with him actually that night.
Straight after.
Yes. And
that's a very English thing, you see.
Yeah,
maybe Irish as well. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I thought to myself,
definitely not Swiss, right?
Yeah, but I'm not Swiss, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I won't see this guy again. Like, what the heck? I like him. I liked him from the first moment, really. I really liked him from the first moment. So I went home with him, and even at his place, like I told him, I was like, what? Like that's weird. I'm so into you. Like what's happening? It's so weird. And I had his phone number actually, and I wrote him the next day when I was on my way to the airport. I actually texted him and I told him, hey, I want to see you again. Like, would you be up to it? And he said, definitely. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to come back. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is history. We had 10 months of long distance relationship. I did come back, each month to visit him. we were very close right from the beginning. We texted every day. We shared so much, and it was, for me, it's an insane love story. And he was sharing that from the beginning. We felt so close from the beginning. It was so weird. And we decided to marry just 1 year after, because we kind of had to, you know, for some visa issues. And best decision ever. And I credit that to the work that I did, right? Because hadn't I changed myself and how I view the world and how I view relationships, and, you know, cleared all this like emotional clutter that was in the way, I would have never been able to even meet him, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you go back and say thank you to the DJ?
No, actually not.
Because maybe he made that pause.
Yeah.
Right. I believe everything is planned, right? I mean, it's part of the grand scheme of things. I mean, serendipity. I mean, he had to have had that pause for your husband to actually say something to you that you could hear him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And yeah, but anyway, they're just going to move on, or we'll never get to what you're doing now. Right. So you all live in Thun. Yeah. You have, how many children do you have?
One.
Right. And what do you have?
We have one son. He's 3, 3.5 almost.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I bet he's beautiful, because he'll have a beautiful color.
He is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, of course he is. And he has the most beautiful name of all as well. His name is Miguel Angel.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Right.
Yeah, because my wife is from Brazil, right? So our kids, you would think they would be more olive skin. So my eldest son is olive skin and brown eyes.
Yeah.
My twins, my son is, my other younger son is olive skin and blue eyes. Ooh. And my daughter is white skin and blue eyes.
Wow.
Can you believe?
You have it all. You have it all.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And if you see my wife and daughter, people say, oh yeah, they look alike. And I said, how? She's got white skin and blue eyes. Right. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, people maybe just being polite say she looks like her mum. And I say, no, she looks like her dad. But anyway. So has your son got blue eyes or brown eyes?
He has brown eyes, because we both have brown eyes, and, you know, it would be very weird if he had blue eyes.
I tell you, right? Nothing surprises me these days.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, moving on. So now that you're living together, did you already start doing what you're doing now?
I started my journey right after I met him. I feel like it was like this check mark, you know, mm-hmm. Wow, now I found this relationship and on to the next. That sounds weird, but it was like that. I met him, and I felt like I have to do something different. I already was about finishing my acupuncture school, you know, with the animals. And that was also the point where I realized, like, I don't think I want to do that. It's still not right, you know, like in that area of my life, like regarding my purpose and what I, you know, want to do. I still felt like it's not completely what I want to do. Animals are amazing, but I do have another calling. And so actually the first thing I did was, like, I started a blog when it was so funny. I was in Dublin in his shared flat and was on my laptop and writing and all of that. And it was quite a journey, from blogging over web design. I was a ghostwriter. I did so many things in like the first 2 or 3 years of our relationship, because I still had a job in dentistry that supported me, but I wanted to really find out what I wanted to do, right? And after I tried so many things and failed at everything because it just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Actually, let me hold you there.
Yeah.
You never failed.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is a learning.
Yeah.
You just it wasn't for you. You learned it wasn't for you. So you didn't actually fail at it. You learned from it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I don't see it as failure. At that time, it pretty much felt like it. Like it was devastating, you know, to always feel like you're hitting a wall and, you know, like again, you can't make it. It was hard, you know. But today I'm actually very delighted about it because everything I did at that time serves me so much in what I'm doing today, right? It's so perfectly orchestrated. You can't make that up, you know. When you look back on your life, or when I look back and I see all the random things where you think they have nothing to do with each other, and today you're like, but it's like an orchestra, you know. It's so good. I love it, really.
Well, congratulations, because these are the stories that inspire people. Because even, I mean, you mentioned a year of feeling, yeah, completely lost, burnt out, disillusioned, fed up,
Yeah,
blaming, and then to come out of that and find your soulmate.
yeah, crazy, right?
And then to have a son and where you are now. So tell us a bit more about your business. So you have a name?
Yeah, it's simple. It's like basically it's Linda Martinez Life Coaching, because I am a life coach. I am a guide, you know, I guide people. And you can find me on Instagram. It's Linda Martinez _O, or my website is lindamartinez.co is the English one, and lindamartinez.ch is the German one. So it's pretty simple. And yeah, I'm a coach today. I started my business as a coach in 2018. After all of the failures, I admitted to myself that I want to be a coach. And I remember I took a course from someone I really admired, and that course was basically about, you know, money and manifestation. I was really into that at that time. And after I finished that course, an email popped into my inbox that said that this person also has a course that is called Become a Life Coach. And she was a coach at that time, and a successful one, right? And I was like, oh my God. That's it. And I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, should I do it? Should I not? And I took that course, and I just started out as a coach. And I mean, now in hindsight, I also see, you know, with all my experience in dentistry and working with people, that, I mean, duh, you know, I was always able to do it, but there was so much like, yeah. Shit in the way, right?
Yeah. So now I'm curious about kind of the programs and what you do, because when you hear, I mean, when I first heard the expression life coach, it was quite a number of years ago, and I thought, what's a life coach? Mm-hmm. And then it kind of got overused and became like, any man and his dog can be a life coach just by following a program. And then I thought, nah, I mean, I am a life coach, but I mean, I don't call myself that. I mean, I call myself, like what you said, a guide.
A guide, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm guiding people. What they do with that is entirely up to them.
Exactly.
They're not following a specific program or anything. I'm helping them to uncover and to discover, similar to you, who they really are.
Yeah. Right? One freaking 100%. So I do have kind of a framework that I lead them through. But that framework is about them doing the work to discover who they are and what they want, and to then clear out everything that is in the way and take action. I mean, that's all it takes, right? But I'm masterful in, you know, guiding people to find their own answers. It's what I feel like I was born to do, you know.
Yeah, I think you found, I mean, express the cliche. I mean, excuse the cliche. Found your calling.
I did, and it sounds like some magical stuff or whatever, but it's just true, it is my calling. And sometimes it sounds so weird to say that, like you're saying, life coach, the phrase, it gets overused. We're like so numb to it, but there's something to it, right? There's something to it. And I'm pretty sure that like people that are watching, or every human, like kind of has that resonance somewhere, if they have found it or not. But if you really feel into yourself, you have like this resonance within you, that if you had a calling, you probably know what it is. If you really would, set for yourself the paradigm, I have a calling and I know what it is, like, the answer. We are so afraid to look or admit, right? Because we are faced with so much, with so much judgment and so much, oh my God, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, too many outside influences. Right. So, I mean, I love your story, and being a life, I mean, I would say a life guide, but it sounds like a swimming guide when you say guide as well, or a life coach sounds like a swimming coach or whatever. But anyway, nevertheless, it's about helping people find kind of their true identity, who they really are, and what it is their purpose in life. Because, I mean, I followed something, just digressing a little bit, in 2016. And because I felt exactly the same as you, completely lost, disillusioned, fed up. And you kind of gone beyond the burnout stage, and you just didn't know what to do. And then I ended up with a life coach as well, which I write about in the book. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to tell you too much because it'll be in the book. Yeah. Right. But anyway, from that, there was a foundation. You mentioned about a foundational framework. I mean, this framework was based on Ikigai. Yeah. And I found Ikigai, I mean, for me, I mean, there's plenty of others, but I mean, for me, I found it, that completely changed the way I saw things. And I thought, this should be introduced to every man, woman, and child, particularly at school, because once you find kind of that foundation, then you can build upon it. If you don't find it and you're always feeling lost, like you mentioned that, I always ask, what did you want to be when you were at school, when you grew up? You didn't know. Every guest I've asked is pretty much been the same. So why are we so disillusioned when we come to leave school? Right. And then that carries on in the kind of the corporate world. And then maybe even when you retire. I say there's three fundamental questions you ask yourself. The first one is, what will I be when I grow up? Mm-hmm. And then what's it all about, as in life? And then when you retire, what comes next? And it doesn't mean there's a right or a wrong time. It's your time when you feel you're ready to want to know. And I think that is when you're there to offer your services. So tell us what kind of packages, what you do. We mentioned earlier about with the kind of the telepathy with the animals. Mm-hmm. Do you introduce that as part of your program? And tell us a bit more about that.
No, not directly. I'm a one-on-one person, right? Like I work with my clients one-on-one, and I actually made it simpler to work with me, right? Because in the past, I also had like these coaching packages, for a certain amount of time. We worked together. We had like the same spot each week, and we were like very committed to the work. But I moved away from that. So it's much easier to work with me right now. It's much simpler. I introduce a subscription-based coaching. It's very easy. You sign up for 5, 10, or 15 sessions, and you have 12 months to use them. If you need more, you sign up for more. If you need, 12 months, that's fine too. And it gives me so much more space to breathe and, be a mother and do my art and write my book and, all of that. And I also feel like it serves my clients so much more because it empowers them to really walk their path at their own pace. If they need 3 weeks to implement, it's fine. They don't have like a coaching package in the back of their head or mind that like forces them to be present next week again. So it feels so much more spacious. And if someone is interested in working with me one-on-one, the process to do so is very easy as well, because I have just set up a contact form on my website, and you can just fill it in and we take it from there. It's really pretty easy.
Okay, you mentioned website there. So you have a link you shared about Instagram, but you have a website as well?
I do, yeah. It's lindamartinez.ch in German and lindamartinez.co in English.
Right. And your clients can be anywhere in the world?
Yeah, I work online, so they can be anywhere in the world. We usually find time slots that suit us. That never was a big barrier. And also, if there are people in Switzerland or in Thun, I also work in person. So we can do sessions in person as well, but mostly I work online.
Yeah. You can have a session on a boat on the lake,
for example. I'm invited.
Right. Okay. And typically your type of clients are?
It's mostly women. It's mostly women who have been very much conditioned to, leave their whole personality behind and, serve others. And they are exactly at that point in their life where they feel like, wow, I have everything that should make me happy, but I am not.
So I always think it's a reflection back on kind of what you went through. And
Yeah,
I think what makes a good coach, we call it coach for now. I mean, what makes a good coach is someone that's gone through the experience and come out the other side, because they can relate to how other people feel, and they have a solution because they've gone through that.
Yeah. And it's a big part of what I do. It's a big part of what I do. And somehow also these mainly women, but I'm open to men as well. Like I'm not, it's not that I'm close to any gender or whatever, but it's mostly women who find me. And like all of them have this in common, that they feel this void in their life, like they should be happy, it should be everything okay, but something is missing. I always say it's like the void in your chest. Something is missing, like you're not feeling fulfilled, you're not feeling happy, but you can't really point what it is.
Yeah.
And it can be a big crisis. It doesn't have to, though. And that's typically where I step in and I help them to really reconnect and, find out who they are, what they came for, and to start really create what they want to experience, that like the experience that they want to have.
Right. Can I ask you then, how do you typically find your clients?
They find me. They find me. Like my websites and my Instagram actually work really good. It's attracting the right kind of clients. Like I pop up in interviews like that, or through referrals.
Referrals.
I get referred a lot. Actually. In the beginning, I was even disappointed. I was like, why do I only get referrals and not so many people just finding my website? And then a friend said, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, referrals are absolutely the number one, because it's proof. It's proof that you're doing something good.
Yeah, I had to, I had to actually hear that from another person to get to the point where I was like, oh, it is a good thing. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, it is a good thing. I get referred a lot, and people find my website really simple through a Google search, or they find me on Instagram.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask you a few more questions. I'm curious about your husband. So he came over to live with you, and he was working in Europe anyway, in Ireland, and I guess his plan was to go back to Colombia originally, and then he ended up coming to Switzerland, get married to you, and What does he do?
First of all, his plan was to go to Italy with another woman.
With another woman?
Yeah, that got ditched very fast. Isn't it funny how life works sometimes? Yeah, he actually wanted to go to Italy, but then he met me. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that, but it's true. Yeah, he then came to Switzerland with me because I was still in school at that time, and for the whole animal acupuncturist thing. And we got married. And
where did you get married?
In 2017.
No, where?
In Thun, in Switzerland.
Not in Colombia.
No, we got married in Thun in Switzerland. Yeah. Was quite a journey as well to even get married. It's.
I know, because
right?
I got married in my kilt and everything in Brazil.
Yeah.
But to get that recognized in Switzerland was a nightmare.
Yeah, that's why we married in Switzerland right away.
I mean, I had to translate everything from English to Portuguese to get married, and then from Portuguese to German.
Yeah, I know. No, that's really why we got married in Switzerland already, because then everything was, in the sack, and we didn't have to do anything else.
But I mean, I'm just jumping all over the place at the moment. So, but you've been to Colombia a few times, I guess.
As of today, yes, I've been there many times. And when we go, we stay for a while. We were last winter, we stayed 3 months. And the years before, not because of the pandemic, but we typically go for the winter time.
Okay. And what part of Brazil, I'm saying, Colombia is he from?
Medellin.
All right.
Yeah, Medellin. The Medellin.
Okay. Anyway, then, so I know I'm going to have the pleasure of meeting up with your husband soon as well, and yourself once you're back in Switzerland. So let's just kind of wrap it up. So, Linda, I absolutely love your story. Have you got any questions or advice, or from your journey and what you've been on, have you got anything that you could share that's going to help other people?
Yeah, I think if there is one thing that I really like to share that is helping me right now a lot, and is always helping me, and that I think everyone should remember, is that you already know the answer, right? Because if I look back on that journey, being in dentistry and being so straight away from what I actually wanted, I kind of always knew where to go. The only thing was that many more times than not, I didn't trust myself, and I doubted myself a lot. But I think, even as you mentioned before, when you feel like you failed or you're not doing what you're supposed to do, just, that voice within you that is telling you where to go or what to do, you can 100% trust. Like, you can't be wrong. And I think training that and being aware of that you actually know your own answers. You don't have to look to other people. You don't have to look to, like internal voices that like tell you, oh, you have to do that. No, your heart, I feel like for me, this voice is more like located like somewhere here and not here.
Well, they actually say, I mean, it's proven that your heart has a brain as well.
Yeah.
It remembers things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We take it for granted, but I mean, you also have your gut feeling, which most people don't listen to either.
Yeah, it's like you have 3 brains, right?
Exactly. Anyway, I absolutely love what you're doing. I mean, it's still bringing a smile to people's faces, because you're helping them with something that is the most fundamental and important thing in life. Because once you know your purpose, you know why you're here.
Yeah. And I wish that for everybody, because that is maybe one last thing that I want to mention. Because if I look back, like 10 years back and now, right? 10 years back, I couldn't even imagine what it feels like to live your purpose, or just be happy doing what I always wanted to be doing, you know, like feeling this freedom and ease, you know, in my work, in my everyday life. I couldn't even imagine not having a job or a terrible boss. That was normal for me. It was, you know, it was how life was going, but it's not. And then when you realize you actually can live happy, you can make your own rules, you can be taken care of, you can do what feels good to you, and nobody's judging you, and the world is not opening up and swallowing you whole for being happy. You know, yeah, that's really, it's an amazing feeling, and helping people realizing that. Yeah, I mean, what else do you want, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one thing that we didn't talk about. You are, because we met, because you're an author as well, and you're writing your own book. So, and we didn't mention, we'll have to save this and have another one about dreams.
Oh my God, yeah. The dreams.
But we'll have to have you back on to talk about that, but with a bunch of others that talk about dreams, because we have a magical connection when it comes to that as well, which we'll share with the audience on another show.
Right.
So, but just tell us quickly about, I mean, you're writing a book at the moment because we have the same publisher. So tell us just quickly about the book that you write and why are you doing it?
So that book, it's part of my personal story as well. You will read a lot of my personal story in it too. And it is a book about everything I've learned basically in the past 10 years. It is about how to decondition yourself and recondition yourself into who you actually are. It's, you know, getting rid of all the paradigms that forbid you to live out who you actually are, because that is what makes you depressed. That is what like causes the gap, you know, because you think you have to be or do things that are not actually you. It's like what your parents told you or society or whatnot. And you can actually decondition all of that. And the book is about that. I'm writing about it. I'm sharing a lot of my personal story. I share a lot of tools on how you can do that I share with my clients as well. But I also think that there is a certain energy in this book, because I think I'm just meant to write this book because it's kind of a build-up as well. And I think, or I intend for this book to be really an energetical work as well. I intend for it to be something that you pick up, you read, and you not only absorb the information with your mind, but I think it will talk to the heart a lot as well.
Beautiful. And where are you on the book at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in the middle part. I feel like I finished the writing the beginning of it, but I have a whole journey ahead as well. I have to finish writing it, and then I have to finish editing it, and then I have to publish it. So I think it will be next year too that, you know, people can actually have it in their hands.
All right. I mean, we're a bit different with ours because there's 11 or so of us as co-authors have been previous guests, so we have less to write.
Yeah.
So we're around about 5,000 words each, but yeah, we've made a good start, but there's a long way to go. But we're aiming for either the end of this year or early next year to get the book.
Right.
But writing a book is a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I mean, I have been writing books before, right? I was a ghostwriter. That's what I say. All the random parts fit together one day.
Yeah. Okay. So Linda Martinez, you've been a fantastic guest, the 117th guest. All right. I'm going to share this and we'll put it also in the Publishing Mastery platform, so other authors can also hear your story if they don't already know you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it will be available on YouTube as well. So thank you once again. Have a wonderful weekend. Regards to the family. And yeah, we'll connect again once you're back in Switzerland.
Yeah, please. Thank you. It was such a pleasure to be here. Warmest greetings to everyone, and thanks for watching. I love you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wow, that was another featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Mofat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.